in the last 6 months, you will find Mr. Gehlot's larger-than-life posters everywhere. You find no other posters of any other Rajasthan political leader of the Congress anywhere. I think the Gehlot versus Pilot battle is done and dusted for now. Even on the ticket selection, where the real battle is going on, Ashok Gehlot is trying to ensure that the maximum number of sitting MLAs, most of whom he sees as his loyalists, get tickets. That's the real battle at the moment. Is Mr. Gehlot going to be able to put enough pressure on the Congress High Command to ensure he gets the maximum number of his loyalist tickets and thereby ensure that if the Congress is to come to power, he once again calls the shot? So that's that battle. I see it more as a battle now between Mr. Gehlot ensuring that he calls the shots in Rajasthan. You turn to Madhya Pradesh. The truth of the matter, Preeti, is that in Madhya Pradesh, the party has outsourced this election to Kamal Nath. You will recall that in the first week of October, the India Alliance, the so-called India Alliance, was to have a grand meeting in Bhopal. That was the plan that was announced. Then what happens? Kamal Nath says he doesn't want to share that platform at that moment with DMK, which has spoken out on Sanatan Dharma, doesn't want to share it with Arvind Kejriwal, who has targeted the Madhya Pradesh leadership of the Congress. He wanted to do his own thing and thereby has made it very clear that ticket distribution also is my deal. Why should I give tickets to the Samajwadi Party? And I think Akhilesh Yadav knew right at the very outset that there was very little chance that this was a state-level alliance. This, according to what we gather, the India Alliance is an alliance for the general elections. Obviously, it may send out the wrong signals if Akhilesh Yadav and the Congress are fighting each other in Madhya Pradesh, or Mr. Kejriwal and the Congress are fighting each other in Madhya Pradesh, but that's the way it is. So I'm not surprised with both of what has happened, both in Rajasthan and in Madhya Pradesh.
Stay with me. Let's bring in Avinash Kala, who's been looking at developments in Rajasthan very closely. Avinash Kala, and we're going to put those graphics out, that you have at one end Ashok Gehlot, who's fighting it out for his own people to get tickets, but some of his closest aides, the ticket to them is in question. The likes of Shanti Dhariwal, will they get tickets, not get tickets? They were the ones who actually scripted or were allegedly behind on what went down during the CLP a few months ago, the fiasco of it all. But on the other hand, Ashok Gehlot might be the face of this, Avinash Kala, but the Congress has made it very clear. That press conference where there was, a truce of sorts between Sachin Pilot and Ashok Gehlot, it was made very clear there is no CM face.
Well, Preeti, the fact of the matter is that when it comes to Rajasthan, not many people inside the Congress party and outside it listen to the Congress High Command. Ashok Gehlot, like it or not, is the de facto Congress party the way he has been running it. It has been coming out loud and clear. And as Rajdeep rightly pointed out, the last 6 months of campaigning was just to project him. Now go out anywhere and they say Congress has not declared a face, but they have projected Mr. Gehlot in a way. They gave him all the freedom. If you look at the way he pushed this, there was nowhere the Congress party or any symbol to be used. So he has ensured that he is there. Now the bone of contention is a 5-decade legacy of politics and the stronghold. Can he get his 3 people who ensured that what happened on
Dr. Mahesh Joshi, Dharmendra Rathore, Shanti Dhariwal.
Absolutely. I can take a case of Mr. Dhariwal. I famously remember his quote, which was aired on all channels. Kaun Ala Kaman? Rajasthan mein Ashok Gehlot hi Ala Kaman hai. Now is the time when Ala Kaman, when the government is on the back seat, code of conduct is out. Maybe now it's the turn of Ala Kaman to show who is Ala Kaman. And now facing that music. So Mr. Dhariwal, I think, is 80 plus. If he doesn't get it, they would try and bargain a seat for his son. The same goes for Mr. Mahesh Joshi. And Dharmendra Rathore is still waiting for a debut to be on the MLA list. Leave aside being an MLA or not. So it is the last chance. Let's see how much Mr. Gehlot can push it. And the subtext was very clear. That if the people who went to Manesar are getting tickets, why aren't those who got my government home or who made sure that the government survived get a ticket? Now,
well, exactly, and that is why Avinash Kala, the night before or the day before Ashok Gehlot took that plane to Delhi, He said what he did, where he spoke of how some of his men, where it was a touch and go, only 2-3 men, it came down to, and they stood by the government even though they were being offered to the likes of 30 crores. He said the same thing this afternoon in the press conference.
He misses no chance. I think we discussed this yesterday as well. We are saying it today. If anybody was thinking that Mr. Gehlot will not rake these issues up, was being very naive. So he would make sure that this happens. And see, yesterday after the meeting was over, most of the people were saying that the list would come out.
Yes.
But, we were here saying that the list would not come out because tomorrow is a big rally. Had the list come out, there would be people on the ground protesting it, and the Congress doesn't want to make sure that the rally goes right. So I don't see it getting over. I don't see a ticket list coming anytime soon till these 3 people are sorted. And Mr. Gehlot has, see, I'll tell you, before the lists are released, one line I would say that the fate of how Congress party fares in these elections depends on the ego of one person, and that is the Chief Minister, Mr. Gehlot.
All right. Okay. Depends on the ego of one person. Will these 3 people be accommodated? We'll give the, the names of the 3 people out again. We've got those graphics going down. But Rashid Kidwai, I'm going to get you back into this conversation. And, the Ala command at the time, or the high command at the time of the entire CLP fiasco was clearly not at its best or the strongest. You had them, the MLAs at that point of time, the likes of Shantilal Dhariwal and the other 2, thumbing their nose at the high command, saying that, who are you? It is Ashok Gehlot who runs the show. Will the high command now flex its muscle?
I'm glad, Preeti, you asked this question. Mr. Ashok Gehlot is now a king without kingdom. It is for the political party, that is the Congress, its PCC chief, to give Form B, to give ticket. The chief minister has no say. He can go on equating Manesar incident to that what happened in September 25th, 2022. But there is no correlation. Mr. Gehlot is coming up with all kind of smart talk and wit, etc. But he knows that he's out of the race. You see, now he's at a daya and kripa of Congress leadership. It is for the Congress leadership to, give ticket or not. Only thing is whether Congress would want make it to, would want to make it ugly it was during, Punjab election when we saw Navjot Sidhu and all kind of, removal of Amrinder and the entire drama. So whether Congress can afford that or not, I think the Congress is going down, and let's see, how it shapes up. But just one last thing, Preeti, that what he said about, I want to quit chief minister. It's a very lazy argument. It reminds me of my, school, college days when I say, "Main kambal ko chodo, kambal mujhe nahi choda." In that, winter morning when my parents would say, "You get up and go to school, college." So this is not a thing. If he wanted, he would have. And he's trying to mock Sonia Gandhi. I'm again saying it. In yesterday's meeting also, Sonia Gandhi made it very clear. Sonia, Rahul, both of them made it very clear about Shanti Dhariwal. You can't pick a fight with Sonia Gandhi and Rahul in the Congress and stay on.
All right, you can't pick a fight with Sonia Gandhi and Rahul and stay on. Rajdeep, once again, back into this conversation. What do you make? Even today, yes, you had Ashok Gehlot on the ticket, but that entire, theatrics or the optics, whatever one might call it, where Sachin Pilot and truce was brokered, it was brokered on the grounds of there will be no CM face announcement. And today you have Mr. Gehlot saying that it's going to be me.
Taking off from what my friend Rashid just said, that you can't take on Rahul and Sonia Gandhi and survive. Well, Ashok Gehlot did. Exactly a year ago, this very month.
Yes.
You will recall a parallel Congress legislature party meeting was held against the official CLP which was to be held, where Mallikarjun Kharge, who subsequently became Congress president, was the observer, was kept waiting. You were there in Jaipur at the time. And Ashok Gehlot virtually thumbed his nose at the Congress high command and refused to take up the post of Congress president, and instead
and all the action that was promised, nothing came out of it.
So all the disciplinary action that was promised against Shanti Dhariwal, against Mahesh Joshi, against Dharmendra Rathod, what happened to that? In fact, Rashid is right. At yesterday's meeting, when Shanti Dhariwal's name was put up as a candidate from North Kota, there was Shanti in the room. Because Sonia Gandhi questioned, is this the same person who rebelled? And are we going to give him a ticket? Now the challenge, therefore, as I said, the battle at the moment is not Sachin Pilot versus Ashok Gehlot. That's done and dusted, Preeti, over. The real battle now is Congress High Command trying to assert its authority
why is that
over
seats. Why is that over? Because over for now, but if in ticket distribution, because even though it's only 37 days left, they have penciled in 104 names. If Sachin Pilot's names are accommodated, why is that battle over?
No, they will. there is every reason to believe that Mr. Pilot's recommendations could well be accommodated. Actually, the interesting part is Sunil Kanokulu, who's emerging as the new sort of face within the Congress on election strategy, is the one who's given a whole list based on a survey that he's done of people who should be given tickets. It includes the names of about 30 to 35 MLAs who should be dropped. Now, the Rahul Gandhi is going into that meeting with that list. So there's that list, there's Mr. Gehlot's list, and the two are not necessarily meeting, which is why you haven't had the Congress even come up with the first list at the moment. But let's be very clear, Preeti, this is a battle between a regional satrap who believes that for the last 5 years he has been able to stay on in power despite the BJP trying to bring down his government, and a much weakened party high command. However, post Karnataka, naturally there's a more muscular approach that the high command is adopting. We'll have to see how this plays out. At the end of the day, that is really the battle, both a year ago and now, and one which is playing out again.
Right. Avinash Kala, you know what Rajdeep spoke of, the regional satrap. There are chinks in the armor of the regional satrap as well, because only yesterday you had Mr. Dotasra who went ahead and said that A, there's no CM face. That is for the High Command to decide. So whoever is saying it's Ashok Gehlot, it is not Ashok Gehlot. And then he also made that very clear, that as per our recommendations, we are dropping 30 faces, and some of them are the close favorites of none else but the sitting Chief Minister.
See, it's very right, and just before the code of conduct was to be put out, most of the congressmen were in a mood to get the conduct out early so that the government stronghold on the party is eased out. Now that is eased out. Earlier, you only used to have Mr. Pilot and Mr. Gehlot, but now Mr. Dotasra is making his head count, and it is not about dropping the 30 seats. Also, remember, last time around, there were similar fights on tickets. Now, the 6 BSP people who came in, now 5 want a Congress ticket. On those seats, where will the Congress's last time MLA candidates go? And there were 13 independents, loyalists of Mr. Gehlot, who contested independent, and he now wants them on a Congress ticket. So who will the party take? Would it be those who fought last time, lost it in a triangular fight? So it's not about just these 3 people. It's a lot more than these 3 people and the other loyalists who helped Gehlot secure his position as the chief minister. And Mr. Dotasra asserted, because you took his name in, there is a seat called Jhotwada, where Rajyavardhan is contesting. The moment Rajyavardhan's name came out, there was a BJP guy who turned out to be a rebel. And Mr. Dharmendra Rathod, we are being told, was pushing for that guy, Ashu Singh Surpura, a Rajput leader, to contest on a Congress ticket, and Mr. Dotasra vetoed it. So this is what the party insiders are telling us. So now everybody else whose voice was not being heard is taking their own positions and making themselves count. So it's not going to be an easy battle.
Well, not going to be an easy battle, because under this cloak of unity, the daggers are drawn. And Mr. Dotasra now coming in, mind you, he represents the 12% of the Jat vote. He is a Jat himself. When asked yesterday in that press conference that could there be a third phase, he said, why not? And, you've had that push from the likes of Mr. Dotasra. But Rashid Kidwai, getting you back very quickly, how do you see the High Command now acting? Because it would be in the benefit, at least, in terms of optics, the unity continues. But you have the likes of Mr. Gehlot, who could actually go down when it comes down to when the final vote is cast. Things could go awry.
Yeah, I think first of all, Preeti, there is a qualitative difference. What was it like on September 25th, 2022, and now the Congress was able to guided by the doctrine of necessity. They were able to have a Congress government in Rajasthan for a year, or maybe put together totally end to end 400 days. So if they had acted against, Ashok Gehlot at that point of time, the Congress government would have fallen in Rajasthan, and there would have been an alternative thing, and a political equation in Rajasthan would have changed. But now things are very different. Mr. Ashok Gehlot is going to be a footnote in the Congress history, man who rebelled, man who refused to, become
Rajdeep
Congress
disagrees.
president.
No, I didn't disagree. I'm smiling. Sorry,
Okay,
please don't.
sorry. Go ahead. Mr. Kidwai, make your point.
That's the long and short of it, because there is no way. Now, the only thing, as I said, only thing is for Mr. Gehlot and for the better Congress leadership to make it, ugly, dirty, and have a, very public display of things that what happened in Punjab, or have some kind of semblance of unit. That's the test. Now, can Mr. Gehlot be loyal enough to, stay on and bargain for a CWC, after December 3rd or so? You see, there is a...
Mr. Kidwai, you cut a very sorry figure of a man who's fully flexing his muscle right now. Rajdeep.
No. My point to Rashid is right that, there will be a battle and it could be a bruising battle. My point is very simply this. December 3rd will decide Ashok Gehlot's future. If the Congress wins, no one can stop him from becoming Chief Minister. The High Command cannot stop Ashok Gehlot from becoming Chief Minister if the Congress wins Rajasthan and breaks the cycle of 5 years rotational governments. But if the Congress loses and loses badly, then I think the High Command will have every reason to effect a major change in Rajasthan's politics, possibly even a generational change in Rajasthan's politics. But in the absence of that, these are old war horses. And I reminded my friend Rashid Kidwai, I had told him even about Punjab. There, I hope Rashid will admit, he thought that, the Congress would be able to manage the Sidhu-Amrinder conflict. They didn't. And look at what happened. They created a right royal mess. At this late stage, you can't take on Ashok Gehlot.
Yeah.
My point, and Avinash is right, if you had to take on Ashok Gehlot or effect a generational change, you could have done it 9 months or a year ago. Now you can't. Now he's fully in charge. You're going into this campaign with Rahul Gandhi hailing his healthcare scheme, saying it's the model, the Chiranjeevi scheme is the model scheme. Now you put all your eggs in Mr. Gehlot's basket. You're trying to ensure that at least in ticket distribution, you're fair to every faction. I think that might be achieved. But eventually, December 3rd will decide the fate of Ashok Gehlot.
Do you agree December 3rd, if the Congress wins comfortably at that, it's going to be Mr. Gehlot all the way again?
Well, I'll take it a little. It looks likely, but if his people are not getting the ticket, then it's a problem for him. Last time around, as I told you, those 13 MLAs were very crucial. He made sure that he had 13 plus 6 BSP, 19 people extra with him. Absolutely, yes.
Right.
So those 13 independents and 6 BSP plus others were his strength. He marked it so well. So can he do it again this time? That is the big question.
Rashid Kidwai, ultimately, of what we have been given to understand, where Rajasthan is coming in, the question is, either way, look at the BJP or the Congress, will this also be a game of independence, taking off from what Mr. Kala said? You have independence possibly floated by the likes of Ashok Gehlot. There would be independence possibly floated by, maybe not Vasundhara Raje Scindia, but there's a lot of rebellion going on in Rajasthan as well. Most of them saying they're going to go independent.
Yes, Preeti, if it's a close call, then obviously Mr. Gehlot will come into play. But let me remind everyone, including my friend Rajdeep Sardesai, on the December 14, 2018, it was not that Mr. Gehlot had, support of majority of MLAs. It was Mr. Ahmed Patel and Motilal Vora, the old guard in the Congress, that prevailed upon Rahul Gandhi to, give Gehlot a chance. And, over the 19 and Lok Sabha, and then, that same thing happened in India also. So all these things were there. So you see, from somebody who has watched Congress, there's never this, other than Devraj Ars, there's been not a single chief minister who could elect himself, herself as the leader of CLP without the help of Congress legislature party. The Congress
but let's not compare Devraj Ars and Indira Gandhi with the politics of today. That Devraj Ars was also a tall leader and so was Indira Gandhi. I'm not sure we can put the existing Congress leadership in the same bracket, but it's interesting you mentioned Vasundhara Raje.
I'm making a limited
because see, you're doing program after program.
But Preeti, I'm not doing program.
I find program after program what's happening in the Congress. The BJP has released a list, correct me Avinash if I'm wrong, of just 41 names at the moment. The fact also is there is a lot of churning going on in the BJP, and I'll tell you something, that the plan B of Vasundhara Raje, according to sources, is to do exactly what Ashok Gehlot did last time.
But does she have that?
To ensure that the BJP doesn't get a major victory, and if it's 100, 105, then Vasundhara Raje will also call the shots.
Avinash Kala, does Vasundhara Raje actually have the heft of doing this or pulling what an Ashok Gehlot did in 2018? Many would say no.
No, I don't agree with my friend Rajdeep here.
See?
I don't see that happening. I think, Rajdeep, there is one thing more interestingly. After the 41 seats and the kind of rebellion that the BJP has seen for the first time, why are they delaying? They are trying to take every Kshatrap into confidence and build on a consensus before they release the seats. And I believe when it comes to Jhalawad or the areas of influence where Vasundhara Raje has her say, her people will be accommodated. She's quite hopeful for that. And I don't see a Gehlot 2.0 happening in the BJP.
You don't see that happening in the BJP?
No, I don't see that.
No, he's partly right. I think it will be much more difficult for Vasundhara Raje in the BJP it was easier for Ashok Gehlot in the Congress, but I never rule out strong-rooted leaders. This is my old belief that you never rule out strong-rooted leaders. This politics of Delhi, domination of regional parties eventually results in some kind of a pushback. The BJP has suffered in Karnataka when they tried to isolate Yediyurappa, and the Congress could suffer if they decide at this late moment to try and downsize Ashok Gehlot. As I said, if you had to do it, you should have really done it, in my view, 9 months ago. Now it may be too late. Now you have to wait for December 3rd.
All right, okay, with that, we're going to call it quits on this show, but the conversation is going to carry on in days to come. We've got a keen eye on all developments taking place in Rajasthan. Time is ticking, 36 days left, no list where the Congress comes into question. A quick break. Up next, Rahul Kaval takes over.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
I'm truly shocked. I'm horrified. I truly don't understand what is going on here. The most barbaric and wide-scale terror attack in decades, bigger than 9/11, was perpetrated 11 days ago. Their goal is the annihilation of Israel. And if Hamas has the opportunity to commit these atrocities again, they will, and you know it. Although there are some here that choose not to designate Hamas as a terror organization for political reasons, it still doesn't change the facts. Hamas deliberately targets civilians and massacres children when given the chance. This makes Hamas a terror organization, no different than ISIS.
In the last 24 hours, the IDF proved yet again that terrorists in Gaza not only murder Israelis, but they also murder civilians in Gaza. The IDF has confirmed and proven that it was an Islamic Jihad rocket that hit a hospital in Gaza yesterday. The IDF operates against Hamas and not against the civilian population in Gaza. We will continue operating against our enemy decisively, with determination and resolve.
As we are getting out of the emergency and admission department of Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital, and based on what we have heard from the doctors here at the department, maybe in the upcoming hours as we are getting out of the hospital, this hospital itself will possibly break down, with the situation getting dire in terms of the needs and essential supplies needed by the hospital. This is a part of an integral part of how is the image in Gaza for the time being, especially for Gaza's hospitals. As you know, Gaza, the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital, is one of the largest and major hospitals, key hospitals in the Gaza Strip, run by the Gaza government. For India Today, Rami Al-Mighari, Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Middle Gaza Strip.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
the destruction of Gaza continues unabated. The massive blast at a major hospital and a claim war momentarily pausing hostilities. Israel has the world's eyes on it, with pressure building for a ceasefire. But a focused and galvanized Israel has signaled it won't be resting until the Hamas in its entirety is obliterated. But as India Today has reported, several leaders of Hamas sit in foreign safe havens. Most notable, Hamas chairman Ismail Haniyeh, who lives in Qatar. In an explosive statement revealing plans to act even against those living protected lives, the Israeli government has declared war on these foreign targets. Israel has claimed to have eliminated several key Hamas figures in its ongoing airstrikes in Gaza. But the true masterminds, including Haniyeh and Mohammad Deif, alias the Guest, who heads Hamas's military Al-Qassam brigades, responsible for the October 7th terror attack, remain elusive. Haniyeh is still visible and his location largely known. But Deif, the architect of the October 7th attack, continues to evade. A minister on Netanyahu's high-powered war cabinet tells it plainly. The world's most formidable intelligence machinery has woken from a shocking slumber, where it was caught off guard, resulting in a terrorist attack. And now, Israel's famed covert operations units, renowned for avenging the deaths of Israelis anywhere in the world, will have kicked into action. Whether in days, or weeks, or months, the blood of 1,400 Israelis means it is safe to assume Israel won't rest until Hamas is buried. Bureau Report, India Today.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies.
Co-presented by Century Laminates by Manish Malhotra, fashion for your furniture.
Co-presented by Macho Hind, Bade Aaram Se.
Co-powered by PolicyBazaar.com, Har family hogi insured. Co-powered by The Bold Look of Kohler. Kirloskar.
Good evening and welcome. Did the world react in haste in presuming the Israel Defense Forces guilty of attacking a Gaza hospital, believing that 500 people have died? In the light of the evidence the IDF has now put out and the absence of evidence on the part of the Hamas, what does the investigation so far suggest? A detailed India Today open source investigation is my top focus on the news track.
Big turning point in Israel-Hamas war. Gaza hospital blast divides the world. Claims and counterclaims fly. Did Israel bomb hospital? Or did Islamic Jihad rocket misfire? Hamas hospital strike claim false. Big focus on news track.
Before we get into our open source investigation, let me take you through the headlines. I'm tracking tonight. Israel offensive intensifies. Netanyahu says he won't allow his territory for humanitarian aid to Gaza. Lebanon border also simmers. Prime Minister Modi speaks to the President of the Palestinian Authority, condoles the loss of civilian lives at the hospital blast in Gaza. PM Modi reiterates India's long-standing principles stand on the Israel-Palestine issue. Akhilesh Yadav hints at a rethink on staying on in the India alliance, accuses the Congress of fooling other parties. This after seat-sharing talks fail in Madhya Pradesh. State of war, Telangana, hots up BRS. Hits back after Rahul Gandhi called the BRS the B team of the BJP. KTR says Congress is the C team or a team of chores. Team India cruising in their chase of 257 runs against Bangladesh. India could go to the top of the points table with a win. The blast at a Gaza city hospital has become a major flashpoint in the Israel-Hamas war. Gaza authorities claim hundreds of civilians were killed. They blame the Israeli airstrikes for the attack. The Israel Defense Forces, meanwhile, claim it was an Islamic Jihad rocket that misfired. What's the truth as we know it at the moment? India Today's open source investigation team analyzed the satellite images and the videos of the blast. Ankit Kumar with our lead story tonight.
October 17, Gaza City. Explosion at the Al Ali Arab Hospital. Hours later, blame game continues. Gaza officials blame Israeli airstrike. The Israel army blames a rocket misfired by the Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorists.
It's Palestinian terrorist organizations that all the time are shooting and targeting civilians. It's only illustrating the way they are hiding between citizens, and they shoot this missile. By the way, I don't know if they did it in purpose or it was a mistake.
So what really happened? India Today's open source intelligence team analyzed the pictures and videos posted online. Satellite images reveal a discolored blast area, the parking lot of the hospital compound. There's no structural damage to adjacent buildings. There seem to be no visible signs of a large crater in the parking lot or any substantial damage to the buildings close by. These signs make the aerial bombing theory less plausible. Video footage released by the Israel Defense Force from the morning hours also shows just burnt cars. The hospital building seems intact. So were hundreds really killed, as Gaza officials claimed? Another set of aerial images released by Israel shows only shrapnels on the building roof. The United States has already given a clean chit to Israel.
I was deeply saddened and outraged by the explosion at the hospital in Gaza yesterday. And based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team, not you.
The UK has said it's establishing facts independently.
I know the whole House will have been shocked by the scenes at Al Ali Hospital. Any loss of innocent life is a dreadful tragedy. Our intelligence services have been rapidly analysing the evidence to independently establish the facts.
For now, there appear to be more clues suggesting that the massacre was likely a rocket failure than a targeted bombing from the skies. With Bidisha Saha and Ankit Kumar, Bureau Report, India Today.
Joining me now live on the news track is Major Doron Spielman, spokesperson of the Israel Defense Forces. Major Doron, welcome. I want to start by asking you about this massive outcry after 471 civilians were allegedly killed in a hospital in Gaza. The Hamas earlier blamed the Israel Defense Forces. You've now put out audio tapes, satellite images seem to suggest that it didn't happen because of a missile strike from Israel. But do you think it's really now down to public perception, where it's become a lightning rod of public opinion on the Arab street, and it's really turning into a Gulf Arab versus the Western world kind of situation, where this is as much a battle that's being fought for perception as it is on the battlefield?
Well, I can tell you that from my perspective, what's most important here are the facts. I believe at the end of the day, if you move forward with the truth, even if certain people are swayed initially and deceived, as it were, by Hamas and many media outlets in the world, that immediately, it's unbelievable, Hamas, right after the explosion, blamed Israel. And none of these media outlets, or the vast majority of the media outlets, didn't stop to say, how can we cite Hamas as a credible source? Who is Hamas? Hamas are the same organization that 13 days ago invaded Israel, slaughtered our civilians, slaughtered men, women, and children, slaughtered babies, mutilated babies, one of which we just found this morning, a mother and her 5-year-old child. We found their burnt bodies in the attic of a house where they were hiding from terrorists who literally burnt them alive, burnt them until they died. This is the organization we're going to trust. So I really think that it's the world needs to view with a large degree of skepticism anything that they hear coming from Gaza, because most things that are coming from Gaza are coming from Hamas. And as we've shown, Hamas has no problem lying to the entire world.
There'll be those who'll be watching and those who are skeptical of the Israel Defense Forces who may turn around and ask you, Major Doron, how do we believe the authenticity of the evidence put out by the IDF? Take the audio tape as an example. These could just be two people put up by the IDF having this conversation with each other, which the Israel Defense Forces later release. What do you have to say about the credibility of the evidence put out by the Israeli Defense Forces to back their claim?
I think the very basis of this conversation is really mistaken. To even begin to compare Israel, a Western democracy, a country that upholds the finest democratic and moral ideals, to Hamas, a radical terror organization similar to those you even have in your own country, and similar to ISIS, who chops apart people. I think any comparison between these two are wrong. In any case, if you look at what we released from the hospital, you don't need to take my word for it. Look at it yourself. It's not even our footage. It's Al Jazeera footage, meaning it's footage that came out from Al Jazeera that shows a rocket, a series of rockets fired by Palestinian Islamic Jihad at the same time as the hospital blast, shows a rocket malfunctioning and heading towards the ground and exploding. Let me ask you, sir, what more information would it take for me to convince you that Hamas are the ones that did this?
You know, the other fact which adds to what you're saying is that the building largely seems to be in place. This Islamic Jihad rocket actually fell into a parking lot, leading many to wonder whether that claim of 471 people dying is even true, because if this rocket actually fell into a parking lot, there are not 400 people standing there. If the whole hospital building had come down, which now satellite pictures suggest isn't the case, then that may still be possible. What do you think actually happened, Major Doron?
I think that most likely, again, I just want to say, even if one civilian was killed, my heart goes out to them, but I think that we cannot trust anything Hamas says. And I think you've pointed it out. They claimed a rocket hit a hospital and Israel did it. We know Israel did not do it, and the rocket did not even hit the hospital. It hit the parking lot. Now, you know, if there were 500 people, God forbid, that had died, that would be a world disaster. It would take days and days to address that kind of damage. After 6 hours, that site was cleared. So really, I think, going back to the media and your initial question about perception, There are right now reporters on Gaza. Go to the site. I know Hamas aren't going to let you in because Hamas doesn't want to reveal to you really what happened. But go to your site, try to get in, try to get the footage and see, because Hamas, the same organization, if they have no conscience about killing, they certainly have no conscience about lying about the truth, lying about the facts. So I think your question is well based, and I don't believe that they are saying the truth.
What do you have to say, Major Doron, about humanitarian aid being blocked, not being allowed to come into the Gaza Strip, that all Palestinians are not supporters of the Hamas, that the Hamas does face opposition and everyone is suffering as collateral damage, and that Israel should allow, whether it's from Egypt or from Israel itself, for some humanitarian aid to reach civilians in the Gaza Strip?
I first want to say that our war is not with the people of Gaza. We made that very clear. We've gone to enormous expense and time of days and days asking them to please move out of the way of where the battle is taking place. I do think, though, sir, that there's a question that the world is not asking that it needs to ask. What was Hamas's contingency plan for its people? Meaning when Hamas invaded Israel and massacred over 1,000 people, took innocent men, women, and children, babies, grandmothers as hostages, what did it think we would do? What would India do? What would Pakistan do? What would any country in the world do in that type of situation? What were they thinking was going to happen with their civilians? They claim to be the protector of the civilians in Gaza, and all they do is make the life of the civilians in Gaza hell. And therefore, they are responsible for these civilians. They should have thought about this in advance. That's the reality.
Are you concerned that all this sporadic fire that we're seeing from southern Lebanon is likely to lead to a two-pronged attack, that you will have to deal with the Hamas in the Gaza Strip, and this is very likely to escalate into a battle between the IDF and the Hezbollah as well?
We are very much looking at the northern border of Israel, looking very closely at Hezbollah, who is, again, a radical terror organization, not dissimilar from Hamas. They're both supported by Iran and directed by Iran. And we know that Iran are pulling the strings here. They're looking to divert us away from the conflict in Gaza and pull us into northern confrontation. We don't want to go there. We've sent very clear messages to Hezbollah and to the Lebanese government and the Lebanese people. Stay out of this war. It is between us and Hamas. We are not looking to spread this to the north. We've seen an escalation in the north. We respond immediately to every attack. We've been knocking out their watchtowers, their missile silos, and always responding, but we are not looking for this to grow. And I think the American presence in the region, including the American battleships that you now have in the Mediterranean Sea, are sending a clear message to any terror actors in the region. As President Biden said, no, 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 stay out of this.
Major Doron Spielman, for joining me on the news track. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
The Gaza hospital blast paused the Israeli